Second.
Motion was made by Director Glennon, second by Director Stewart. Come out of closed session. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. We are out of closed session at 6:02. And public report on action taken in closed session, council?
No reportable action was taken in closed session.
Okay, we are in open session now. Board Secretary?
This portion of the agenda allows an individual the opportunity to address the board on any items not on the agenda regarding district business. State law prohibits the district from taking any action on any items not on the agenda unless authorized under section 54954.2 sub B of the government code, and your matter may be referred to the general manager. An individual may also address the board on any agenda item at the time the matter is discussed and prior to the board consideration or actions. Speaker will be limited to 5 minutes. Your time will start when you approach the podium. You will be given a 30-second warning before your time expires. If you choose to ask questions during this time, any response by the board will not extend your time. Questions may be referred to the general manager to be answered at a later time after the meeting. In order to allow for a smooth and orderly meeting and allow each speaker the ability to address the board, disruption from the audience will not be tolerated and you could be asked to leave. We appreciate your cooperation in this democratic process.
Okay, at this time we'll open the floor for public comments. And being as there are none, we will close public comments. Minutes. M1 through M4.
Motion to approve the minutes of M1 through M4.
Second.
Motion is made by Director Glenn, seconded by Director Stewart. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Consent calendar, CC1.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion is made by Director Glenn, seconded by Director Stewart. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. New business, MB1, discussion and action to lease a community center to the Kern Antelope Historical Society for $1 per year. Presenter Joe Hughes, legal counsel.
I'd like to recuse myself.
Okay, so I don't know all of the details, and I suspect John will be able to fill in some of the gaps, but as you will recall at a previous meeting, there had been discussion about whether it's a donation of the land or a long-term lease of the community center building to the Historical Society. And I know that there was a site visit by the Historical Society and district staff, and there have been some discussions. I see here there is a letter dated March 11th from the Historical Society requesting, it looks to be like an outright donation of the facility to the Historical Society. What the general manager and I have discussed is a long-term lease of the facility for the annual rent of $1 to the Historical Society. And so the question had come up, well, can the district do that? And from a legal standpoint, it's a gift of public funds analysis, and as long as there is a legitimate finding by this board that this advances a purpose of the district, which I think we could do that, because obviously, as was discussed at a previous meeting, the Historical Society does advance the interests of the community. Number one. Number two, the facility is currently empty, which is probably not a good thing, and so if you can kill two birds with one stone, that probably advances the interests of the district. So from a legal standpoint, I think it's doable. What the general manager and I discussed is that if it's the pleasure of the board to proceed in this direction, then the direction should be given to district staff and legal counsel to work on a lease, because there are a few wrinkles here, some ADA compliance issues. the fitness for occupancy of the building, so it's not, it's not turnkey. So there will be some things we need to work out. But again, I think if it's the pleasure of the board, be the direction, staff and legal counsel to work with the Historical Society on working up a lease that protects the district and fits the bill for the Historical Society. And then we would bring that back to the board for discussion and review and approval of the pleasure of the board at that time of the particular lease. But we didn't want to get ahead of the board and start drafting things without knowing what the board's thinking is on this.
Byron and I met with the Historical Society on March 11th, and we made them aware of the gift of public funds issue, and also the fact that they do realize there's a significant amount of work that needs to be done to the building to get it ready for occupancy. And I guess they've got a lot of sources lined up to help them accomplish those tasks. I feel it's very important to have this museum in our community. It's something that the entire community will benefit from. It's something that young and old can learn and be educated about our history and where this community came from and how it's grown through the years and changed through the years. And I think that this building currently belongs to the people of Rosamond, and it will continue to be benefited by the people of Rosamond by having a museum in there, and something that the entire community can enjoy and benefit from. And with that, I'll leave the rest of the board. Byron?
I suggest that we pursue what you just laid out, that we begin to look at how we can do this without any significant cost to the RCSD, and make sure the liability is something that is covered. Because even if we lease it, to some degree, we're still liable, I believe. So we need to make sure whatever contract we set up, absolves us of liability of somebody slipping and falling and those kind of things.
And John and I talked about that. It always feels nice to put an indemnity provision in a lease or other document, but as we all know, an indemnity is only as good as the person sitting across the table from you, promising to indemnify you. And so the key provision here, I think, is the insurance, to make sure that the Historical Society has the appropriate insurance, and communicate with Aqua JPIA so that they know what we are doing. So as a backstop, Aqua JPIA, as the district's insurer. But
Our liability to this, the RMA.
oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I just came from a meeting.
At Aqua on my brain. But the key there, in my mind, from the district standpoint, is adequate insurance all the way around, as opposed to have an indemnity provision, but again, not relying on that to save the day for us.
But that's my only concern. I feel it's very positive. Things will happen.
Mr. Washington?
I feel very good that you guys are moving in the right direction with this. As you mentioned, you'll work on the specifics of it, but I think it's something really good for downtown Rosamond.
So you got your marching orders.
All right. Do we have to take an action on this, or just give direction to council?
I think for right now, it's just direction. Again, we didn't want to march down that and come back with something, with a smile on our face and have you guys say, what are you thinking?
Does anybody from the Historical Society want to say anything tonight?
Good evening. My name is Terry Landseidel. I've been working with the Historical Society on this. We do have an opportunity to apply for a grant. The RENEWBIZ grants are due April 30th, and we're looking at applying for a grant for the front of the building and for the new doors. So we sort of need to know that it's something that we're going to be able to do, so we can work on that grant.
Now, is the title going to be a hang-up, do you think?
No, I talked to Lorelei over at the county, She
All
said that,
lease is the same thing.
yeah, she said that you guys would just have to sign the grant form for us.
Oh, okay.
And they've done it for other people on Diamond Street. So we're looking to apply for that grant, to have to pay for the front windows that need to be replaced and the doors. So we sort of need to know.
What's the time frame?
Well, April 30th, we have to turn the grant in.
April 30th.
And we've already got one estimate, it was like 12,000 to replace the front windows and doors. And that's mainly because of prevailing wage. So we're gonna work on a few more bids and see if we can get it to within the $10,000 that the grants are good for. So we just wanna really know for sure that before we start pushing on the grant, that we're going all in the same direction.
That's our direction. Is our direction. We want to follow through on this, you know.
And, John, with what Terry said, can we, you and legal counsel work?
Diligently to get it done by
Yes,
April 30th?
That way we can, because we don't want them to miss out on that window. And so the quicker we can move on this and bring it back to the board, the better.
Yes.
Or even maybe a memorandum of understanding stating that, you know, this is what we're gonna do if we don't have the lease completely all worked out.
Well, the board's given direction to staff, and at this time, I would ask that you and any interested parties with the Historical Society stay in contact with John, and that way, things will move along a lot quicker with you guys communicating with each other. And then John will keep in contact with our legal counsel to get everything put together, and when it's all, everything's wrapped up, ready to go, then we'll bring it back to the board for a vote.
Okay, thank you.
With that, we will move on to director's reports, comments, future agenda items.
Ben can come out of home.
Oh, yeah. Tell him he can come out of solitary confinement. All right, director reports, comments, future agenda items. Go ahead and start to the right with Mr. Bloom.
We were just talking about liability. We have our workers' comp and our liability programs through SDRMA, that's Special District Risk Management Association. I just spent yesterday in Sacramento listening to them explaining how important safety is. There are actually 508 organizations in their liability program and 442 in their workers' comp, and we're in both of them. And by attending some of their workshops like this on safety and so on, we get a reduction in our workers' comp and liability that more than compensates for the cost of going to them. But I came back with, after sitting there and listening to them for the whole day, is we need to make sure as a board that we put policies in place that fit what we're doing. And maybe we need to be, me personally and us, be more involved in coming in. I know you have safety meetings on a regular basis, but for us to be more aware of what goes on in your safety meetings and what issues we really do have that concern. The last part of the last hour and a half was about soft tissue injuries. Soft tissue injuries, I sprained my ankle, I twisted my back, you know, those kind of things. And it's amazing, he said, how many soft tissue claims come after retirement. In other words, my back's bad, but I'm gonna go until I retire. And then I want to say I hurt my back when I was coaching back in 1980 to try to get a little bit extra disability along with my retirement. But the key is to keep right on top of it. If a person has twisted their back or something, don't just let it go. you know, to write it up. And but anyway, it was interesting, and I expect to get a little bit more involved in the safety issues that we have here. And I know we have regular meetings on safety, but it was a very interesting day, and some of the claims they talked about are just amazing. The injury claims that insurance companies have to deal with. And thanks for letting me attend that.
Last Saturday night, I attended the Sheriff Appreciation Dinner. Myself, Byron, my wife.
I was there.
You were there. It was nice. It was nice to see. I can't pronounce the deputy's last name of that deputy of the year, but I've met with him before. He seems like a nice gentleman. He's offered to come speak to the Cub Scouts, so I can see why. He seems like a real nice guy, and he's got good intentions, so I liked it. It was nice to get out and represent the board in a public area, so that was it.
How was the tri-tip?
It was delicious. It was delicious.
Great.
Mr. Washington.
Yeah, I want to talk briefly about a water conference I had the pleasure of attending this past weekend. It was a 3-day conference. I think I could describe it in one word: networking. Meeting others in the water industry, sharing and finding innovative ways and solutions to meet the needs of our community. It was really, really good to hang out with a bunch of people in the same type of business that we're in. So just wanted to share that. I felt attending it kind of gave me a leg up on things.
I was at the water reuse conference in Garden Grove as well, and a lot has changed, but a lot hasn't changed. And one of the biggest things that I see with talking to different people at the conference is public education. A lot of the public, you know, gets a lot of misinformation about recycled water and the benefits of it. And a lot of people think that there's something wrong with recycled water. And it was a lot of effort is being put in a lot of agencies up and down the state to really pull out all the stops in public education. And that means getting out into the community. There was this one company, KAVHS and Associates, that I found very intriguing, that they were working on a pipeline project for recycled water down in the San Diego area. And the board down there wanted to have one meeting with the public, and that was it. Just let the chips fall where they fall. And KAVHS and Associates came in and convinced that board that no, you can't just go in there and just treat the public that way. You've got to really and sell it, and you really need to take the time to educate the public. And so they ended up having over 100 meetings with the public in a 6-month period, and meeting with every group they could. But when they were done, the project sailed through. No public opposition, because they took the time to get out and address the concerns. I have seen that there's no such thing as a concern that isn't warranted. Anybody that comes up with a concern, you need to take the time to explain it to them, to show them, you know, that their concern is valid, or their concern, you know, really isn't. But you have to take everybody's and treat them with the same respect, and take the time to really tell people the benefits of recycled water. The one thing is, when it comes to recycled water, we are not ever going to drink it. You know, it's not, recycled water is never going to come out of your tap. But if you can take the water that does come out of your tap and replace that water that is currently coming out of your tap that's being used to water your parks, your school grounds, your medians, flower beds, things of this nature, and use recycled water for that same stuff, then it just makes sure that we have a adequate water supply in the future as a community grows, especially in a desert community. So I'm hoping that we can, as a board, can come up with a public education program to really get out in the public and be very upfront and to tell the people and take the time to address the benefits of water reuse. Because it really is becoming something of the future that it's being embraced more and more by cities and counties up and down the state, where 20 years ago it really wasn't. But today it's really becoming a thing that we need to really look at. And so I learned a lot of good stuff at the conference. And so with that, I would also like to say that due to the fact that we will not have a quorum because we will be in training on for the April 10th meeting, that we'll need to cancel that meeting because we won't have, 3 of the board members will be in training. And so with that, we'll go on to general council update.
Nothing to update.
Okay, this is the general manager update. John?
Yeah, so the last week or two I've attended both the Public Water Supplier Committee meeting and the Water Master Advisory Committee meeting. And then also today I was at the Water Master itself meeting. Lots of stuff happening in the water adjudication world right now, and it's interesting to be getting up to speed on what all's going on out there, and who's dealing water, and what's going on in the Antelope Valley. They nominated me for the Public Water Suppliers to be the co-chair on the committee with Chad Reed, because they wanted somebody from Kern County. Our previous manager was on that, and they needed to fill the spot. They thought that it needed to be filled by somebody from Kern County, so I was nominated for that. Been working on the arsenic consolidation grants, been working with the legal counsel. We have 4 contracts that are not signed as of yet. One of them we have a red line version in, it's being reviewed. I believe that one will be signed quite soon. There's still 3 pending, but trying to get them signed. We had some conference calls with the state. They're eager to get us to get the contract signed with those 4 entities, so we can move forward with the construction phase of the arsenic grant.
Any questions of our general manager?
What's the,
That are resisting water rights. They don't want to give up their actual water rights.
they do going in though, that when they connect it up to the system, they would lose their rights to that water. It's like any homeowner would.
Correct.
Homeowner can't drill.
In order for them to join with us, we're saying you need to bring your water rights, and they're trying to resist. There's a dispute on how much water rights they want to give up.
They do understand that under this agreement, the connection fees are covered.
That's just it. That's why the state's so eager to get it done. If they don't sign up now, then they'll be dropped out of the consolidation, and then they'll be on their own after that. So they're being encouraged to sign as soon as possible because the state is going to be paying for it. But the state is eager to get this project off the ground, and if they don't sign, they'll be dropped out of it, and then they'll be on their own to.
John, there's one thing that I would like to see if you could do some research on and then bring it up for the board to discuss and how we want to deal with it, but Governor Newsom, I read in the paper that he is proposing a water tax of $10 a month per water customer throughout California. And so I think because he has put it out there, I think it's something that we need to have on the agenda, so you can get some more details on it and then bring it to a future board meeting where we can discuss on how we want to handle that.
Okay.
All right, consultant finance update?
No update at this time, but a question for the board. Being as you are a majority new board, we're getting into budget season. Budget is due by June 30th, if not sooner. We usually strive for the first meeting in June to pass that budget so that if there are any questions or things that you want changed, we have time to pass it before the required deadline of June 30th. What would be your desire in terms of workshops participation to be included? The former board enjoyed having kind of a preliminary kickoff, something in the middle, and then something towards the end. Would that be something you'd like the finance committee to undertake, or would you like to do it as a full board and full workshops? What would be your desire there?
What is the, how has it normally been handled in the past, Byron, if you're on the finance committee?
There hasn't been a fixed way of doing it. It's been done different ways, so whatever way that this board chooses to do it, I think is, I would say, take a recommendation from the general manager and from the finance officer, what they feel would be the best way, because we've done it several different ways.
I think when we had the board workshop to go over the budget and discuss it, and being as we are, probably this discussion probably should have been started probably back in January or February, because we're getting up against the clock that you gotta have the budget prepared. I would think it'd probably be good to maybe set up a couple of board workshops where we can sit down and go over the budget, and that way everybody's here, we can get our comments in and cut through a lot of the, figure out what we want, what we don't want, and then try to get that budget put together by sometime in the middle of May.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, I'll work with the Director of Administration and put together a schedule and some proposed dates and get those out to you.
Okay, that'd be great, thank you. Hey, Director of Public Works update, Brock is in here. Okay, I have a motion for adjournment. Moved. Second?
Second.
Motion made by Director Stewart, seconded by Director Washington. All in favor of adjournment? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. We're adjourned at 6:30.